Okay, so now here we're going to do the demo of and I call them mighty muffins because they are mighty. I mean, they give you, these things will hold you. If you know you're going to be doing something and you're not going to have time, and they freeze. Oh, let me tell you, the best way to keep these things is, okay, I bake them and I leave them out uncovered until they cool because they're so moist. Then I can leave them out. Then I might put them in a sealed plastic container and leave them out I do it for a couple of days. Then I put them in the freezer. They freeze so well. It's much better to put them in the freezer than in the refrigerator. So like all the muffins that we had, they were tasty. The James's muffins this morning and the ginger things, but they're going to be a little cakier if you don't refrigerate them. But I do refrigerate them sometimes because they're still good. But I'm just telling you that if you then, rather than going into the refrigerator, you just throw them into the freezer, and you can make a whole bunch of them and just freeze them and set them out. And I've warmed them like in a skillet on the stove on very low heat. I've warmed them in the oven. Of course, I don't like to use the microwave, but I have just warmed them quickly in the microwave and defrosted them, and they come out beautifully. So they're very durable little cakes, and you can make a cake out of it too. Just use a cake pan, because I'll show you later a picture of a torte that I made with an icing, and I used this same basic recipe. Here we go. What's going to go in this are dates, sweet potato, white beans, raw beet. We don't have any beet, and I use the beet for this particular one for color because I'm going to put kale in it, so I can get a nice. The one you all had, I'm sure they had beet in it because the color was fine. But I do it, I'd rather have it kind of have a reddish color. I mean, as people are eating more and more greens, they're going to get used to eating green things. But right now, especially for kids and stuff, I try to adjust the color so it looks like something, more commercial. And then, of course, the beet's good for you. So it's got carrot, kale, chia seeds, fresh ginger, and you can use the powder. I have the vanilla powder also that Dr. Fuhrman uses, and I do use, I use quite a bit of it when I put it in something. And spelt flour, if you're gluten-free, you can also make your own gluten-free flour, or the one that I found worked the best was Namaste. That's one in almost any health food store. I have used a Walmart one that worked, but Namaste is all whole, it's at least brown rice. I don't, it's not, this stuff's not that good for you. And even, this is not an intact, this is ground. So that this is a process, even the spelt flour, that is a processed food. I've wanted to make them where I'm doing more whole grains in it, but I haven't done that yet.
Can you use whole wheat if you're not?
Yes, you can use whole wheat. I like the spelt ones more. I like the texture more. Sometimes the whole wheat, because spelt doesn't have nearly as much gluten as wheat does. Spelt is just an ancient wheat before they hybrid it and put it, all the gluten and so forth. So it's just one of the ancient wheats. So it has less gluten, so it's going to be less. The whole wheat flour sometimes can be a little bit gummy, but you figure it out. You play with it, you adjust it, and you can make the whole wheat flour work for you. And then James gave you all a good combination with the garbanzo beans, so try that flour too, because it worked on his muffins, so it'll work on any of these as well. So ground cinnamon, ground cloves, apple, pears, or walnuts. And for this one, I have done it with the Ceylon cinnamon, but I can't get enough flavor into it with the Ceylon cinnamon. So let's do it. And I do this in the mixer, the food processor. So I'm not going to do the full amount. I'm just going to do half a recipe. So I think these are sweeter, so I'm not going to use as much of the dates in this. I'm just going to use that much. See, this would be for the whole recipe. And now I'm going to put baked sweet potato. And you can do raw sweet potato. It does not have to be baked. I don't really know why I put baked. Big difference. Yeah.
It does not have to be baked.
No, it does not. So you can scratch that. Yes. Yeah, you can do raw. Just cut it up, in small enough chunks that it'll grind up nicely. Carrot. And I'm going to go ahead and do the carrot. I'd like make it like a carrot cake. Rather than grinding it in there, I'm just going to blend that in there later. So I'm going to put my kale pieces. And so I'm not going to like the color on this. I mean, it's not that I'm going to dislike it, but a lot of people might not like it on this one because I don't have the beet. But it's pretty easy to just put the beet in there. And so what I'm going to be showing you here, because really, again, any mass that you get, I'm going to show you the consistency, the texture of this. It's going to work.
So if you had the beet, you wouldn't put the kale?
I would put the kale. I do the beet to offset the color of the kale because it's going to have that greenish brown color, army green, which I don't think many kids would be real excited about. That is cinnamon. Excuse me, I need to be telling you everything. So cinnamon, clove, and I like to do fresh ginger because I think it has a better, it just tastes brighter. So I'm going to throw that in there, that ginger. Maybe I better cut it up for this food processor a little bit.
If the Ceylon cinnamon is too mild, can you just use more?
Yeah, you're going to have to, yes. And just try, make a batch and see if you have to keep adding more and more and more. And I do, I'm doing things commercially and I have to watch my price, the cost on things. Okay, so I've got all that. And we're going to do the carrots later. Okay. Let's do...
You have to have warm water.
It's the first one. It's the very first ingredient.
The dates.
Oh, okay, yes. Now, if that's... You don't have to do that. I was doing that for people when I was doing it in the blender. But if you have something that it's straining and so forth, you can soak your dates in the water that you're going to put in there. So I'm going to put 1 1/4 cups. Because I'm just cutting the recipe in half.
You would normally use to it.
Yeah, that's going to make that makes about 12 muffins.
It's 24.
Oh, that one okay, well 24. It's 24. So that's so this should make about 12. 10 to 12. If you do it in the blender, in the Vitamix, you'll blend up, completely puree the kale. By doing it in here, the kale is going to be finely chopped. And so I'm not going to need all that flour either. But I've grown to like it like this rather than the Vitamix. I prefer this. What?
Is it lighter?
It seems to have better, I don't know, it's just a better texture. In my restaurant, we always did it in the Vitamix, and I tell you, we burned out some Vitamixes. Because you can imagine trying to do something this thick in the Vitamix. And doing it all the time, a lot. Okay, so let's see, how much flour, how much of the spelt does it call for? Do you all see that? 4 cups, so let me measure out 2 cups. And here's the vanilla, so I'll put it out here so I don't forget it.
Do you use more vanilla if you use the powder form?
Well, for this I would have to use probably 2 or 3
Calls for 3 teaspoons.
of vanilla extract.
Yes.
Okay, I would probably use about a tablespoon of that vanilla powder.
Okay.
Okay, so now how much did you tell me?
2 cups.
2 cups. Okay, so that's 1. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'll just throw that on there. So what I'm going to do is put this, so I've got the spelt in here, and then I'm going to, and you always want to, like when you do a mousse or something with that aquafaba, it's just like egg whites. You always want to mix the fluffy part into the custard part. And you want to fold it.
The recipe is 4 cups of flour.
Yes, you need 2.
Oh, I need another cup of flour. Thank you for correcting that.
And when do you add the baking powder and the baking soda?
I'm going to add that. Actually, I could have added that. I'll add that now because I want that. Really, you should mix that into your flour because you want it evenly distributed. But this is probably never going to get baked. So I'm just going to use half of this. So I'm basically just kind of showing you what and how we're going to do this and what it should look like. Now I'll pour the. If I forget to put it, I have forgotten to put it in there and nothing rose. I mean, it was a mess. But if I forget to put it in there, I just kind of mix it around. It always works as long as I manage to get all the ingredients in there that are necessary. It will work. This is a pretty forgiving recipe. So now let's see if this is going to be. Well, I need all of this. It's a very forgiving recipe. Get all that. Now I want you to do you see how pasty that is? Mm-hmm. If it's too thick, then I will add some water to it till I get just the right consistency. And I don't want to let it sit around too much because, when that baking powder starts rising, I want to get it in the oven as quickly as possible. But do you see how if we had used the beet, we would have a redder color? The beet is wonderful for offsetting green. Thank you, Linda. Okay, so now I'm going to start folding this in and see if it's going to be too thick. Yeah, this looks a little thick to me. So as I said, you just got to get the consistency right. Because there's just a very sweet spot that you got to get. And it's a funny thing, sometimes I make this recipe and it works out. It must have to do with because, when you're dealing with vegetables and different things like that, things are not always exact. Because I normally do a raw sweet potato, so this sweet potato may be drier because it's cooked. But I've spent several years really developing this recipe. I can smell it smelling good. And that ginger, using the raw ginger makes such a difference. It's so much better than the powdered. And you can decide, when you make it. My sister didn't think it had enough of the spices. So, you can make it once and then you know how you want to fix it.
You were doing the aquafaba.
I haven't done it. I don't know if you can do the aquafaba without whipping it. Whip it and fold it in. But this is such a paste. Such a thick paste that I'm afraid that the aquafaba would kind of fall, folding it in, because it will. And I've noticed that when I do aquafaba, I tried to make a whipped. I wanted to cut the fat down in calories on a whipped coconut cream, so I whipped the coconut cream, whipped the aquafaba, and then it fell. So aquafaba doesn't like certain things blended into it. Okay, so now this is about your consistency, and the way you'll know is when I scoop this, I want it to be able to hold that round form there. Yes, I would. Thank you. So let's throw some carrots in there.
How do you make aquafaba?
That was what Dr. Fuhrman showed you all yesterday, where he whipped the garbanzo bean juice. which you can either get out of the can or if you make your own garbanzo beans. Now, if you make your own, it's got to be kind of, when it cools, it's got to have kind of that thickness, or like if you've ever cooked garbanzo beans, have you ever noticed that, let's throw all that in there, that it gets gelatinous?
Yes.
Okay, so it's got to at least have that. You can't have a real watery garbanzo juice, and if it's not gelatinous, you can reduce it by just cooking it, boiling it with the lid off. Okay.
Are you oiling?
Well, I would use a spray. I usually use a spray coconut oil.
Would the cupcake papers be a good?
Yes, I've done that's fine. I do cupcake papers. No, so what I would do if I just make like a nice little pattern of nuts on top. And a lot of people can't eat nuts. And so it's really safe to go ahead and bake this. And I press them down a little bit to just bake this with your nuts on top, and then they roast. I love it with pecans on top. And they roast. I do pumpkin seeds sometimes. And they'll get toasty and roasted on the top. And so that way, if somebody can't eat nuts, they just pull the nuts off the top. But so can you see what that looks like, how I did that little design there? And then they will raise up a little bit, and they're really tasty. They're better, just a second, they're better when you let them cool. These muffins, I don't know why, but these muffins, when they just come out of the oven, you know how you used to love to eat things right out of the oven, they're just not as good. They're kind of gummy, so you need to let them cool a bit before you start eating them. So this is the muffin. Okay, so that makes a nice breakfast right there.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
Make a little fruit parfait. And have that. I mean, that's really, if you have guests, that would make a lovely breakfast. And then I turn this muffin into, I need my muffin, the finished one that was on that to have as the display. There was a finished muffin somewhere. There it is on that plate. In my restaurant, I used to serve these warm cakes with sauce. So here, this is what you all had yesterday. And they did turn it upside down. I see they baked it kind of in a like a little shaped pan. But I would cut off the top so it wouldn't be rounded, flip it over, and so it would be just like a little flat mini cake. And then I used to warm them in the microwave. But and then I would just do my lemon sauce over them, or whatever. We had chocolate ones. We had all different kinds with all different types of sauces. And that makes a wonderful dessert. And if we can go back.
Your pistachio ice cream sauce?
That would, yes. That would be especially good on a chocolate muffin, where you put cocoa powder in it.
Yesterday was the lemon sauce. Is that what we had?
It was supposed to be the lemon sauce, but it didn't. It was lemon.
Okay.
It is lemon. So
It was beautiful.
anyway, it's not as pretty anymore now that I turned it upside down to show you all something. But
Is the microwave because of what it does, or because of the new part of it that you don't want the microwave?
well, I don't know. There's all this controversy about microwaves. I don't know what the truth is about microwaves. I really don't. I hear all kinds of science about microwaves. Russian science and this and that, and then saying about microwaves are safe, and they're safe because it does this and this and this. I just threw it out. I said, if I don't know, and there's all this controversy over it, I always err on the side of caution because, I don't want to get cancer or have these horrible things they say it can give to you. So I don't know. But in my restaurant, I did use it because I kind of had to sometimes to get the food out. Okay, so we're going to do the lemon sauce now. But now we're not going to have to take the time to do the whole lemon sauce because you know how to make a sauce. If you can give me the lemon, just the lemon sauce. And then, because I'll put some lemon in it. And then the blender with the green. Okay, so this is what I was going to put in the lemon sauce, which you've got on your recipe here. Your water, cashews, dates, hemp seeds. We can throw some hemp seeds in this because we're going to thin it some. Hemp seeds, vanilla, lemon juice. So the only thing that's not in here really is the lemon juice, and I've added the avocado, but that's all right. We call it a lime sauce.
Yes. Yeah.
Or, okay? So let's just throw this hemp in there. Let's throw this little lemon peel in there. And let's see, how much lemon juice does this call for? This might thin it. 1/2 cup. So let's just throw that lemon juice in there. And I've got some, oh yeah, I love vanilla and lemon together. That is such a good combination. Okay. So now we're going to make our lime sauce. Probably put a little water in it, because it's going to thicken in the refrigerator. All these sauces thicken. It's still pretty thick. You can make it thicker and thinner still. Yeah, it's kind of thick, but still. I mean, you make it however you want it. Thin, thick. And let me taste it and see how it tastes. May I have a spoon, please, to taste it? I wish you all could. Thank you, Linda. That tastes like a lime sauce. That is good. I'll have a little bit more.
Is it okay to use orange peel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's organic.
Yes.
That's great. Gosh, think of all the things. It's tart and sweet. Think of all the things you could put that on.
How long will that last in the fridge?
It lasts about 5 days usually. I think that's what we found in the restaurant. Lasted about 4 or 5 days.
Do you dry the peels or do you just have them?
I do dry them because when I get organic lemons and oranges, I will peel them. When we take the peel off for things, and then I dry those.
In the hydrator?
I kind of sit. You can do it in the hydrator, or I sit it in the window, or I just sit it out. Yeah, and then once it's dried, then I put it in a jar. But I think I have put it. No, we've let it. Maybe I put it in the dehydrator. I can't remember, but because I don't want it to mold in the jar, I want to make sure it's completely dry. So I may kind of finish it off in the dehydrator. I'm gonna have enough.
Freeze them?
Gosh, this would make a great ice cream. This is good.
So you could just use that and make that into a gelato also.
Yes, you could. This would be a lime gelato, creamy lime gelato. This is fantastic. Okay. Linda, don't let them throw this out. Oh, but actually, we're gonna. You know what? We're gonna use this for the pears too.
Okay.
So I'm just showing you how versatile all this stuff is. Okay, so now, here we had. See, that was right. That's sweet and tart, and that's a lovely sauce. I'll tell you. I'm going to remember that one. Okay, so that's what I do when I get in here. I have my recipe, but then I start playing with it because I want you all to start playing with it and create your own things. You put raspberry, that would be like a raspberry lime sauce or a raspberry lime ice cream. Throw some frozen raspberries in that.